The morning sun rose over New Haven just like it had for the past 47 years. Governor Claire Brennan stood on her balcony with a cup of coffee, watching the city wake up below her. The streets filled with people heading to work. Children walked to school in small groups, laughing and pushing each other playfully. Farmers drove their trucks toward the fields that stretched beyond the city limits. Everything was normal. Everything was peaceful. Claire had been governor for 8 years now. She loved this colony. 2.3 million people called New Haven home. They had built something beautiful here on Meridian Prime. The planet had good soil, clean water, and a comfortable climate. The colony exported grain and vegetables to other human settlements. They had schools, hospitals, parks, and museums. This was what humanity's expansion into space was supposed to look like. Her assistant knocked on the door. Claire turned and smiled. Another day of meetings and paperwork waited for her. She took one last look at the peaceful morning scene and went inside. Across the city, Commander Jake Morrison was already at his desk. He ran the colony's defense force, which consisted of 12 patrol ships and about 300 security personnel. It was not much, but New Haven had never needed more. There were no threats out here in the outer reach. The nearest alien civilization was the Krell Dominion, and they had never shown any interest in this sector. Still, Jake worried. He was a military man. He had served in Earth's Navy before retiring to New Haven with his family. His instincts told him that being this far from Earth with such a small defense force was dangerous. He had requested more ships many times. Each time the answer was the same. New Haven was peaceful. New Haven was safe. They did not need a large military presence. Jake looked at his patrol schedule. Everything was routine. He hoped it would stay that way. In the research district, Dr. Lisa Chen was already deep in her work. She studied soil samples from different parts of the planet, looking for ways to improve crop yields. Her laboratory was in a reinforced building designed to survive storms and earthquakes. It had its own power supply and communication systems. The builders had made it tough because the equipment inside was expensive and important. Lisa loved her job. She had come to New Haven 12 years ago as a young scientist. She had married here, bought a house here, and planned to stay for the rest of her life. Her daughter was in the 3rd grade. Her husband taught at the university. This was home. She placed a sample under her microscope and began taking notes. Outside her window, students walked across the campus. Someone was playing music in a nearby building. Birds that looked almost like earth sparrows hopped along the grass. Life was good. The first sign of trouble came at 11:30 in the morning. One of Jake Morrison's patrol ships detected something on long-range sensors. Multiple objects were approaching the system at high speed. The patrol captain sent the data to headquarters and requested instructions. Jake studied the readings. His blood went cold. Those were warships, big ones. At least 30 of them. They would reach New Haven in less than an hour. He grabbed his phone and called the governor. Claire was in a budget meeting when her phone rang. She saw Jake's name and felt a knot form in her stomach. Jake never interrupted her during meetings unless it was serious. She excused herself and answered, "Governor, we have incoming warships. Unknown origin." "They're not responding to our hails." Claire's mind raced. "How many?" "At least 30. Maybe more. They'll be here in 50 minutes. What do we do?" Jake's voice was steady but grim. "We try to talk to them. If that doesn't work, we evacuate as many people as we can. But Governor, with 30 warships against our 12 patrol boats, we can't fight them." Claire issued emergency orders. All government channels began broadcasting evacuation instructions. People needed to get to the shelters. Ships needed to prepare for emergency launches. The military would try to make contact with the incoming fleet. Panic spread through the city like wildfire. Parents rushed to schools to grab their children. People abandoned their cars in the streets and ran toward the nearest shelters. The spaceport became chaos as everyone tried to leave at once. But there were only so many ships, and New Haven had 2.3 million people. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace exactly 53 minutes after detection. They appeared in orbit like dark angels of death. Jake's patrol ships moved to intercept, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Unknown vessels, this is New Haven Defense Force. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. We mean you no harm. Please respond." There was no response. The alien ships simply moved into position around the planet. Jake recognized their design now. Krell Dominion. He felt his heart sink. The Krell were known as aggressive and brutal. They believed in strength above all else. Jake tried again. Krell vessels, we are a peaceful colony. We have no quarrel with the Dominion. Please, we can negotiate whatever you want. Just talk to us, still nothing. Claire was on the line now, speaking directly to the Krell commander. This is Governor Brennan of New Haven Colony. We have families here, children. We are not soldiers. Please, if we have offended you in some way, we will make it right. Just tell us what you want. The Krell ships began powering up their weapons. Jake saw it on his sensors and knew what was coming. All ships, evasive action. Get out of orbit now. The first shots came without warning. Plasma beams cut through the vacuum of space and slammed into Jake's patrol ships. 2 of them exploded instantly. The others tried to run, but the Krell were faster and more powerful. Within 5 minutes, all 12 patrol ships were destroyed. Jake's flagship was hit in the engine room. He had just enough time to put on his emergency suit before the bridge lost pressure. Then the Krell turned their weapons on the planet. The first missile hit the spaceport, vaporizing it in a ball of nuclear fire. The second hit the industrial sector. The third hit the residential district where Jake's family lived. Claire watched from the command center as her city died. Screens showed multiple impact points. Each explosion killed thousands. She kept trying to reach the Krell, kept begging them to stop, kept offering surrender. They never responded. They just kept firing. Lisa was in her laboratory when the first bombs hit. The building shook, but the reinforced walls held. Her computer showed what was happening outside. The city was burning. She tried calling her husband and daughter, but got no answer. The university district had been hit in the first wave. With shaking hands, Lisa activated the quantum communicator. It was the colony's most advanced piece of technology, a device that could send messages to Earth instantly using quantum entanglement. It had cost a fortune, and was only supposed to be used in the worst emergencies. This qualified. She recorded a message as the building shook around her. This is Dr. Lisa Chen, New Haven Colony. We are under attack by Krell Dominion forces. They gave no warning, no demands. They're just killing everyone. The colony is lost. There's no way anyone survives this. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we love them. Tell them to remember us. Tell them to make the Krell pay for this. She hit send just as another explosion rocked the building. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, but she could hear the structure failing. Lisa closed her eyes and thought of her daughter's smile. Then the ceiling came down. The bombardment continued for 6 hours. The Krell were thorough. They hit every city, every town, every settlement. They destroyed the farms, the mines, the research stations. They made sure nothing survived. When they were done, New Haven was a smoking ruin. The atmosphere glowed with radioactive dust. Every building was rubble. Every person was dead. Supreme Commander Krellix watched the destruction from his flagship. He felt satisfied. The operation had gone smoothly. His warriors had performed well. This planet would now serve the Dominion. Once the radiation cleared, they would claim its resources. He recorded his report for the Dominion leadership. We have cleared the human infestation from Meridian Prime. Resistance was minimal. The primitives had no real defenses. Their pleas for mercy were ignored as unworthy of response. The planet will be ready for our use within 3 cycles. Total Krell casualties 0. Total human casualties estimated 2.3 million. Krellix felt a moment of contempt for the humans. Such a weak species. They had not even fought back properly. They had just begged and died. The galaxy was better off without such pathetic creatures. He ordered his fleet to move on to their next assignment. New Haven was already forgotten, but Lisa's message had reached Earth. It arrived at Earth Command Headquarters exactly 6.3 seconds after she sent it. A junior officer monitoring the quantum network saw it first. He played the recording, heard Lisa's desperate words, and immediately called his superior. Within minutes, the message reached the highest levels of Earth's military command. Within an hour, every member of Earth's leadership had seen it. They watched the tactical data that came with Lisa's message. They saw the unprovoked attack. They saw a peaceful colony wiped out for no reason. They saw 2.3 million of their people murdered. The Krell had made a terrible mistake. They thought humanity was weak. They thought one isolated colony could be erased without consequence. They thought wrong. Earth was about to show the galaxy what happened when you killed their people. Admiral Victoria Kane was in a strategy meeting when her assistant burst through the door. The young officer's face was pale. He held a data tablet in his shaking hands. Victoria knew immediately that something terrible had happened. "Admiral, we have an emergency transmission from New Haven Colony. You need to see this now." Victoria took the tablet and played the message. She heard Dr. Lisa Chen's voice, desperate and scared. She heard the explosions in the background. She saw the tactical data showing Krell warships destroying everything. When the message ended, Victoria stood silent for a long moment. Everyone in the room waited. "Get me President Cole, get me the Joint Chiefs. Get me everyone. We meet in the Situation Room in 30 minutes. Her voice was cold and hard. "And activate Protocol Omega, do it now." The assistant's eyes went wide. Protocol Omega was the code for humanity's ultimate military response. It had never been activated before. "Are you sure, Admiral?" Victoria looked at him with eyes that could cut steel. "They killed 2.3 million of our people without warning. Without reason. Yes, I'm sure. Make the call." Within 30 minutes, every major leader on Earth was in the Situation Room. President Richard Cole sat at the head of the table. He had already watched Lisa's message 3 times. His face showed the anger he felt. Next to him sat General Frank Hayes, commander of Earth's Marine Corps. Across from them was Ambassador Liu Wei, who handled Earth's relations with other alien species. Admiral Kane began the briefing. At 0800 hours this morning, New Haven Colony was attacked by Krell Dominion forces. 30 warships dropped out of hyperspace and immediately opened fire. They gave no warning, made no demands, ignored all attempts at communication. The colony defense force was destroyed in minutes. The bombardment lasted 6 hours. Current status: New Haven is gone. All 2.3 million colonists are dead. The room was silent. Some people looked down at the table. Others stared straight ahead. All of them felt the same thing: rage. President Cole spoke first. "Do we know why? Did New Haven do something to provoke this?" "No, sir. We've reviewed all communications. New Haven had no contact with the Krell. They were a farming colony. They had no strategic value, no military installations, no weapons research. This was pure aggression. The Krell wanted the planet's resources and decided to take it." Ambassador Liu spoke up. "We need to bring this to the Galactic Council. This is a clear violation of interstellar law. We can get sanctions, maybe even a peacekeeping force." General Hayes slammed his fist on the table. "Sanctions? Our people are dead, Liu, all of them. Children, families, everyone. And you want to file a complaint?" "I want justice through proper channels," Liu said firmly. "If we respond with force, we're no better than them." "We're nothing like them," Hayes shot back. "They attacked civilians without warning. We would be responding to an act of war. That's not the same thing at all." President Cole raised his hand for silence. "Liu, you'll get your chance. Take this to the council. Show them the evidence. Give them 3 days to act. But Admiral Kane, you prepare our response. If the council fails us, we move immediately." Victoria nodded. "I've already activated Protocol Omega. Our hidden fleet is mobilizing as we speak." Several people around the table looked surprised. One general asked, "Hidden fleet? What are you talking about?" Admiral Kane smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "For the past 30 years, Earth has been building warships in secret. Shipyards on Mars, Europa, Titan, and throughout the asteroid belt. The small defense fleet everyone sees, that's just for show. Our real military has been preparing for exactly this situation." "How many ships?" President Cole asked. 15,000 warships, another 5,000 support vessels, all equipped with the latest technology. Weapons and defenses far beyond what any alien species has seen. The room erupted in shocked whispers. General Hayes laughed. 15,000? "Victoria, you beautiful genius. The Krell have about 3,000 ships in their entire fleet." "I know," Victoria said. "We've been watching them. Watching everyone. Humanity learned long ago that we needed to be ready. The galaxy is not a friendly place. We chose peace, but we prepared for war." Ambassador Liu left for the Galactic Council that same day. She carried video evidence of the attack. She had statements from Earth's leaders. She had legal documents proving New Haven's innocence. She was determined to get justice through the proper channels. The Galactic Council met in a massive station orbiting a neutral star. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to hear Earth's case. Liu presented her evidence. She showed them the destruction. She played Lisa's final message. She demanded action. The council debated for 3 days. Some species supported Earth. They called the attack barbaric and demanded severe punishment for the Krell. Other species were more cautious. The Krell Dominion was powerful. Starting a conflict with them could lead to a wider war. Some species privately believed humans were not important enough to risk such trouble. On the third day, the Council reached its decision. They would issue a formal condemnation of the Krell Dominion. They would impose economic sanctions. They would demand the Krell pay compensation to Earth, but they would not authorize military action. They would not send peacekeepers. They would not punish the Krell commander who ordered the attack. Liu Wei stood before the council and felt her heart sink. That's it? A condemnation? Our people are dead. 2.3 million human beings were murdered, and all you offer is words? The council speaker, a tall alien with blue skin, spoke gently. Ambassador, we understand your pain. But we must consider the greater good. A military response could destabilize the entire sector. We cannot risk that for one incident. One incident, Liu repeated quietly. That's what my people's lives mean to you. One incident. She returned to Earth that night. Admiral Kane was waiting for her at the spaceport. Liu did not need to say anything. Kane could see the answer on her face. They failed us, Liu said. The council won't help. Then we help ourselves, Kane replied. Come on, the president is waiting. They met in the situation room again. President Cole looked tired. He had not slept much since the attack. He listened to Liu's report, then sat back in his chair. We tried diplomacy. We followed the rules. We gave them a chance to make this right. He looked around the table at his advisors. Now we show them what happens when you attack humanity. Admiral Kane, you have full authorization. Destroy the Krell military. Remove their leadership. Make sure they never threaten another human colony again. Yes, sir, Victoria said. She had been waiting for this order. The fleet will depart within 48 hours. General Hayes grinned. I want my Marines on the ground. We're taking their leaders alive for trial. You'll get your chance, Kane promised. But first we eliminate their ability to fight back. The orders went out immediately. Throughout the solar system, hidden shipyards opened their doors. Warships that had been waiting in darkness powered up their engines. Crews that had trained in secret for years received their deployment orders. The time for hiding was over. On Mars, massive underground facilities released destroyers and cruisers by the dozens. On Europa, submarine shipyards beneath the ice launched capital ships. On Titan, atmospheric processors that everyone thought were civilian installations opened to reveal dreadnoughts. In the asteroid belt, hundreds of rocks that seemed natural were actually camouflaged construction yards. The ships gathered near Jupiter. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They came from every corner of the solar system. Each one represented years of secret work. Each one carried weapons designed specifically to fight alien threats. Each one was crewed by people who had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might not come home. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of her flagship, the dreadnought Vengeance. Through the view screen, she could see the fleet assembling. It stretched for millions of kilometers. There were so many ships that their running lights looked like a new constellation. Her second-in-command stood beside her. Admiral, all ships report ready. We have 15,200 warships, 5,000 support vessels. Total personnel, 3 million. We're the largest military force ever assembled by humanity. Victoria nodded. Open a channel to all ships. When the channel was open, she spoke. Her voice went out to 3 million people across 20,000 ships. This is Admiral Kane. You all know why we're here. The Krell Dominion destroyed New Haven Colony. They killed 2.3 million of our people without warning or mercy. Earth asked for justice through diplomacy. We were denied. So now we take justice ourselves. Our mission is clear. Destroy the Krell military and bring their leaders to trial. We will show the galaxy that humanity protects its own. We will show them that attacking us has consequences. We will show them why you should never mistake our patience for weakness. All ships prepare for jump. We're going to war. The fleet began moving. Thousands of ships aligned themselves for the jump to hyperspace. The formation was so massive that it would take 3 separate jumps. The first wave would go now. The second in 6 hours. The third in 12 hours. By the time they reached Krell space, they would be reunited. As the first ships prepared to jump, a young officer on the Vengeance asked, Admiral, what if they surrender immediately? Victoria looked at him. Captain Daniel Cross stood on the bridge of the Vengeance and watched the stars streak past. The fleet had been traveling for 6 days. They moved through hyperspace in formation, thousands of ships staying perfectly aligned. It was a testament to the training his people had received. They had practiced for this mission for years, never knowing if they would actually need to use their skills. Now the moment had come. Daniel had served in Earth's Navy for 20 years. He had commanded destroyers and cruisers. When Admiral Kane asked him to captain the Vengeance, he felt honored and terrified. The Vengeance was the largest warship humanity had ever built. It carried enough firepower to crack a planet. Now he would use that power against the species that killed his people. His communications officer looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving reports from the scout ships. We're passing through the terminus system. Local traffic is clearing out fast. Let them run," Daniel said. "We're not here for them." In the terminus system, a trader named Zarketh was loading cargo when his sensors detected something impossible. His ship's computer showed thousands of contacts approaching. At first, he thought it was a malfunction. No fleet could be that large. Then he saw them with his own eyes. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metal locusts. They came in waves, each one larger than the last. Zarketh had been trading in this sector for 30 years. He had seen Krell armadas. He had seen the grand fleets of the Draxian Empire. He had never seen anything like this. The fleet was so vast that it blocked out the system's star. Planets below fell into shadow as 15,000 warships passed overhead. Zarketh grabbed his communicator and called his homeworld. "This is Zarketh in the terminus system. I need to report something. The humans are moving. Their fleet just passed through here. They have thousands of ships. Maybe more. I can't even count them all. They're heading toward Krell space. Tell the council. Tell everyone. The humans were hiding their strength. We never knew what they really were." Aboard the Vengeance, Lieutenant Sophie Grant prepared for her patrol mission. She climbed into her fighter and ran through her pre-flight checks. The fighter was small and fast, designed for quick strikes and reconnaissance. Sophie had been flying them for 5 years. She was one of the best pilots in the fleet. She also had a personal reason for being here. Her sister had lived on New Haven. Her sister had taught math at the colony's high school. Her sister had been planning to get married next year. Now her sister was dead, vaporized by Krell weapons along with everyone else. Sophie launched from the Vengeance's hangar and joined the patrol formation. Hundreds of other fighters flew alongside her. They spread out around the main fleet watching for threats. Sophie kept her sister's picture taped to her control panel. Every time she flew, she looked at that picture and remembered why she was here. In the engineering section of the Vengeance, Chief Engineer Marcus Blake monitored the ship's systems. Marcus was a genius. He had designed many of the weapons that Earth's fleet carried. Plasma cannons that could burn through any armor, kinetic missiles that struck with the force of nuclear bombs, electronic warfare systems that could shut down enemy ships without firing a shot. His masterpiece was the quantum missile. It used quantum entanglement to target enemy ships from hundreds of light years away. Once locked on, the missile was impossible to evade. It would find its target no matter what. Marcus had been saving these weapons for the right moment. That moment was coming. Admiral Kane called a meeting of all ship captains. The communication went out simultaneously to 15,000 ships. Kane appeared on every screen, her face serious and determined. "We will reach Krell space in 2 days. Intelligence reports that their forces are mobilizing. They know we're coming. Good. I want them to see us. I want them to realize what they started. When we arrive, I will give them one chance to surrender their military forces and their leadership. If they refuse, we attack. Our targets are military only. We do not harm civilians. We do not destroy homes. We are not like the Krell. We have standards. We fight with honor. But make no mistake, we fight to win. Any questions?" Captain Daniel spoke up. "Admiral, what if they scatter their fleet? What if they try to run? Then we hunt them down. Every ship, every commander, every soldier who participated in the New Haven attack. They started this war. We will finish it." The meeting ended. Across the fleet, crews prepared for battle. Weapons were charged. Armor was checked. Battle plans were reviewed. Everyone knew their role. Everyone was ready. News of the approaching human fleet reached the Krell Dominion within hours. Supreme Commander Krellix was in his palace when he received the report. At first he laughed. Humans? Threatening the Dominion? It was absurd. The humans had barely defended their pathetic colony. What could they possibly do now? Then he saw the numbers. 15,000 ships. His laughter died. The Dominion had 3,000 warships spread across their entire territory. Even if he called them all back, he would be outnumbered 5-1. And the report said human technology was more advanced than intelligence had suggested. Krellix called an emergency meeting of the military council. Generals and admirals gathered in the war room. They studied the reports and argued about what to do. Some wanted to negotiate, others wanted to fight. A few suggested abandoning their border systems and falling back to defend the core worlds. "We cannot show weakness," Krellix declared. "We are the Dominion. We have ruled this sector for 600 years. We will not bow to primitive apes who got lucky building some ships. Call back all our forces. We will meet them at the border and destroy them." One of his admirals hesitated. "Supreme Commander, perhaps we should consider their demands. If they only want those responsible for New Haven, we could surrender those officers and avoid a larger war." Krellix slammed his fist on the table. "Surrender? Never. I ordered the attack on New Haven. I take full responsibility, and I would do it again. Those humans were squatters on our territory. They had no right to be there. If Earth wants war, we will give them war. Now get our fleets into position." The orders went out. Krell warships began converging on the border systems. They called back forces from patrol duty, from occupation zones, from training exercises. Every available ship headed toward the coming battle. Krellix felt confident. His warriors were the best in the galaxy. They had never lost a major battle. The human fleet crossed into Krell space on the 8th day. They did not sneak or hide. They came in broad formation, announcing their presence on every frequency. Admiral Kane's message went out to all Krell forces. "This is Admiral Victoria Kane of the Earth Fleet. The Krell Dominion destroyed our colony on New Haven without provocation or warning. You killed 2.3 million innocent people. We tried to resolve this through diplomacy. The Galactic Council failed to provide justice. Therefore, Earth will provide justice ourselves. You have 48 hours to surrender your military forces and hand over all personnel involved in the New Haven attack. If you comply, no further action will be taken. If you refuse, we will dismantle your military capability by force. This is your only warning." Krellix heard the message and sneered. 48 hours. The humans thought they could intimidate him with a deadline. He would show them what real power looked like. He sent his response. "This is Supreme Commander Krellix of the Krell Dominion. Your colony was on our territory. Your people were trespassers. We had every right to remove them. The Dominion does not negotiate with inferior species. We do not surrender to threats. If you want war, you will have it. Come and die like your colonists did." Admiral Kane listened to the response without expression. She had expected this. The Krell were too proud to back down. Fine. She would teach them about pride. "All ships, battle stations. Prepare to engage. Show them what happens when you kill our people." The fleet split into multiple battle groups. Each group had a specific target. Group 1 would hit the Krell shipyards at Kalthus. Group 2 would destroy the forward bases in the border systems. Group 3 would engage the main Krell fleet. Group 4 would strike at their communications network. The plan was complex and required perfect coordination. Admiral Kane had spent weeks preparing every detail. Captain Daniel commanded Battle Group 3. His force consisted of 4,000 ships, including the Vengeance. Their target was the largest concentration of Krell military power. It would be the hardest fight. As his group approached their target, Daniel addressed his crew. "We're about to face the Krell main fleet. They're tough. They're experienced. But remember why we're here. Remember New Haven. Remember the people who died. We fight for them. We fight for every human who trusted Earth to protect them. Today we prove that trust was not misplaced." The crew cheered. Throughout the ship, people took their positions. Weapons officers powered up the plasma cannons. Shield operators brought defenses to full strength. Fighter pilots climbed into their craft. Lieutenant Sophie Grant was among them. She kissed her sister's picture before sealing her helmet. The Krell fleet waited for them. 2,800 warships arranged in defensive formations. They looked impressive. They looked dangerous. They looked confident. Then the human fleet arrived. 4,000 ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. General Frank Hayes stood in the transport ship watching his Marines prepare for the assault. 2,000 soldiers in powered armor checked their weapons and equipment. They had trained for years for missions like this. Now they would finally see real combat against an alien enemy. Frank was 60 years old. He had joined the military when he was 18 and never looked back. He had served in conflicts around Earth. He had commanded peacekeeping forces on Mars. He had trained thousands of soldiers. But he had never fought aliens before. None of them had. This would be a test of everything humanity had learned about war. Their target was Kalthus Station, the largest Krell shipyard in the sector. The station orbited a gas giant and employed over 50,000 workers. Most importantly, it housed the construction facilities for Krell capital ships. If Earth controlled Kalthus, the Krell could never rebuild their fleet. Admiral Kane had given Frank clear orders. Take the station, capture its technology, then destroy it. Make sure the Krell could never use it again. The transport approached Kalthus under covering fire from the human fleet. Krell defenders shot at them with everything they had. Plasma bolts and missiles filled the space around the station. But the human ships kept coming. Transport after transport docked with the station or cut through its hull to deploy Marines directly inside. Frank led the first wave. His armor made him stronger and faster than any Krell soldier. His rifle fired rounds that could punch through steel walls. His helmet gave him vision in multiple spectrums and highlighted enemy positions. He felt like a god of war. The Krell fought hard. They had the advantage of knowing the station's layout. They set up ambushes and strong points. They tried to blow sections of the station to kill the invaders. But human Marines were trained for exactly this kind of fighting. They cleared each deck methodically, using tactics that had been perfected over centuries of human warfare. The battle for Kalthus lasted 18 hours. Room by room, corridor by corridor, the Marines pushed forward. Frank was everywhere, directing his forces and fighting alongside them. He saw Krell soldiers up close for the first time. They were tall and strong with thick armor-like skin, but they fought with outdated tactics. They charged straight ahead instead of using cover. They grouped together instead of spreading out. They were brave but not smart. By hour 12, human forces controlled half the station. By hour 16, the Krell commander asked to negotiate. Frank accepted the surrender of the remaining defenders. The station was his. Engineers moved in immediately. They studied the Krell construction facilities and downloaded all technical data. The information would help Earth understand Krell technology and develop better defenses. After 20 hours, the engineers finished their work. Frank evacuated his Marines and the Krell prisoners. Then he gave the order to destroy the station. Demolition charges went off throughout the massive structure. The explosion was visible from 6 planets in the system. Kalthus Station, built over 200 years and costing billions of credits, was gone in seconds. Frank reported to Admiral Kane. Kalthus is destroyed. All objectives achieved. Krell construction capability reduced by 70%. We captured their technical database and took 3,000 prisoners. Good work, General. Prepare for the next phase. We're moving on the throne world. While Frank fought at Kalthus, Captain Daniel led his battle group in another engagement. A Krell fleet had tried to hide in the Crimson Nebula, planning to ambush human ships as they passed. The nebula was filled with ionized gases that interfered with most sensors. The Krell thought they were invisible. They did not know that human sensors could see through the interference. Chief Engineer Marcus had designed the system specifically for situations like this. The human fleet detected every Krell ship hiding in the nebula. Daniel brought his ships around behind the Krell position. When the ambush was supposed to happen, it was the Krell who were surprised. Human warships emerged from the nebula's gases right on top of the enemy fleet. The battle lasted 23 minutes. The Krell tried to scatter and run, but they were boxed in. Human ships cut off every escape route. One by one, the Krell warships were destroyed or forced to surrender. When it was over, Daniel had captured 12 ships intact and destroyed the rest. Not a single human ship was lost. Lieutenant Sophie flew in that battle. Her squadron was assigned to destroy the Krell carriers. These massive ships launched fighters and bombers. If they survived, they could cause problems for the human fleet. Sophie would not let that happen. She led her squadron through heavy fire. Krell fighters tried to intercept them. Sophie outflew them easily. Her training was superior. Her reflexes were faster. Her fighter was more maneuverable. She reached the first carrier and launched her missiles. The carrier's engines exploded, leaving it dead in space. She moved to the second carrier. This one had stronger defenses. Point defense guns filled the space around it with deadly fire. Sophie dodged and weaved, flying so close to the carrier's hull that the guns could not track her. She found a weak spot and put 2 missiles through it. The carrier broke apart. The third carrier tried to run. Sophie chased it down and disabled its engines. Marines would board it later and capture the crew. 3 carriers destroyed in one battle. Sophie looked at her sister's picture and felt grim satisfaction. 3 more for the count. Across Krell space, similar battles played out. Human forces struck everywhere at once. They hit military bases, supply depots, communication centers, and troop concentrations. The Krell military was collapsing under the weight of the assault. They had never faced an enemy this organized, this advanced, or this numerous. Krell commanders sent desperate messages to their supreme commander. They needed reinforcements. They needed better weapons. They needed help. But Krellix had no help to give. His military was being destroyed faster than he could respond. Every day brought news of another defeat, another captured base, another lost fleet. After 32 days of fighting, Krellix gathered what remained of his forces. He had about 800 ships left out of the 3,000 he started with. He pulled them all back to defend the throne world of Krellvar. If he lost the capital, the war was over. Admiral Kane received intelligence about the Krell concentration at Krellvar. She smiled. Krellix was making her job easier by putting all his remaining forces in one place. She would crush them all at once and end this war. She assembled her attack force. 4,000 ships, her best and most powerful. Captain Daniel would lead the assault. General Hayes would command the ground forces that would capture Krellix. This would be the final battle. The fleet approached Krellvar on day 45. The throne world was a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green continents. 3 billion Krell lived there. It was the heart of their civilization, unchanged for 600 years. Now it would become a battlefield. Krellix watched the human fleet arrive from his flagship. He saw 4,000 ships against his 800. The numbers were terrible, but he had no choice. This was the last stand. Either he won here or the Dominion fell. He opened a channel to his fleet. Warriors of the Krell Dominion, today we face our greatest test. The humans come with superior numbers. They have defeated our forces across the sector. But we fight for our homeworld now. We fight for our families. We fight for our honor. Show these primitives what Krell warriors can do. For the Dominion! His fleet roared their approval. They formed defensive positions around the planet. They would make the humans pay for every meter of space. Admiral Kane broadcast her own message. Krell forces, this is your final chance. Surrender your ships and turn over your leadership for trial. Do this and we will spare your world. Refuse and we will destroy your fleet and take what we came for by force. You have 1 hour. Krellix did not bother to respond. Instead, he ordered his fleet to attack. 800 Krell warships charged toward the human lines. It was a desperate move, but Krellix was a desperate commander. He hoped that aggression and courage might somehow overcome the odds. They did not. The human fleet met the charge with overwhelming firepower. Plasma beams and missiles tore into the Krell formation. Ships exploded by the dozens. The Krell pressed on, getting close enough to fire their own weapons. They destroyed some human ships and damaged many others. But for every human ship lost, 10 Krell ships died. Captain Daniel commanded from the Vengeance. His massive dreadnought anchored the human line. Its weapons fired continuously, destroying Krell ships with every shot. Around him, thousands of other human vessels fought with the same intensity. This was what they had trained for. This was why Earth had built such a powerful fleet. The battle raged for hours. The Krell fought bravely. They never gave up. They never ran. But courage alone could not win against such overwhelming force. One by one, their ships fell. The space around Krellvar became a graveyard of broken vessels and drifting debris. Krellix watched his fleet die from the bridge of his flagship. He saw his best commanders killed. He saw his most powerful ships destroyed. He saw 600 years of Krell military pride broken in a single afternoon. And he finally understood. The humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They had been patient and peaceful by choice, not by necessity. He had awakened something terrible. The war ended on day 47. Admiral Victoria Kane stood on the bridge of the Vengeance and looked at the reports from across Krell space. The Dominion military was destroyed. Their shipyards were captured or demolished. Their leaders were in custody. The threat was eliminated, but the work was not finished. Now came the harder part. Earth had to decide what to do with the conquered territory. They had to establish order and prevent revenge killings. They had to show the galaxy that humanity fought with honor and governed with justice. President Richard Cole arrived in Krell space 1 week after the surrender. He came aboard a diplomatic ship, not a warship. The message was clear. The fighting was over. Now came the peace. His first meeting was with moderate Krell leaders who had opposed the war. These were politicians, business owners, and community leaders who wanted to rebuild their society. Cole listened to their concerns and their fears. He assured them that Earth had no interest in enslaving or oppressing the Krell people. "We did not come here to conquer," Cole told them. "We came here to eliminate a threat. Your military attacked our colony without cause. We responded. But we do not blame your entire civilization for the crimes of your leaders. You will have a chance to rebuild. You will have a chance to govern yourselves again. But things will be different now. The old dominion is gone. What comes next is up to you." Admiral Kane established a transitional government. It would be run by Krell who were willing to work with humans, overseen by Earth advisors. The goal was to prepare Krell society for self-governance within 5 years. But there were conditions. The Krell would never again be allowed to maintain a large military. They would pay reparations to the families of New Haven victims, and they would hand over everyone involved in war crimes for trial. The trials began 3 months after the war ended. They were held on a neutral space station, broadcast across the galaxy so everyone could see that justice was being served fairly. Krellix was the first to stand trial. He faced charges of genocide, crimes against sentient beings, and violation of interstellar law. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Video recordings showed his fleet attacking New Haven. Communication logs proved he gave the orders. His own officers testified that he refused all surrender attempts. There was no question about his guilt. Krellix did not try to deny what he had done. He stood before the court and admitted everything. "I ordered the attack on New Haven. I am responsible for the deaths of 2.3 million humans. I believed my people were superior. I believed humans were primitive and weak. I was wrong. I accept whatever punishment you decide." The judges deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all charges. The sentence was life imprisonment on a remote prison facility. Krellix would spend the rest of his days in isolation, thinking about the civilization he destroyed through his arrogance. Other commanders received similar sentences. Some got shorter terms because they had tried to negotiate or minimize civilian casualties. Others got longer terms because they had been especially brutal. But all of them faced consequences for their actions. The galaxy watched and learned an important lesson. Attacking humanity had a price. 6 months after the war ended, President Cole addressed the Galactic Council in person. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to hear what Earth would say now that they had demonstrated their true power. Some feared that humans would become conquerors. Others hoped that humanity would bring stability to the sector. Cole stood before the council and spoke clearly. 6 months ago, the Krell Dominion destroyed our colony at New Haven. They killed 2.3 million of our people. We brought evidence of this crime to you. We asked for justice through your laws and institutions. You gave us words, condemnations, sanctions, but no real justice. The council members shifted uncomfortably. They knew this was true. They had failed Earth. Cole continued. So Earth took justice into our own hands. We destroyed the Krell military. We removed their leadership. We made sure they could never threaten us again. Some of you feared we would become like them, that we would turn into conquerors and tyrants. I am here to tell you that we did not. We occupied Krell space only long enough to establish order. We are already preparing to leave. We held fair trials for war criminals. We did not harm civilians. We acted with honor. He paused and looked around the chamber. But let me be absolutely clear about something. Humanity values peace. We believe in diplomacy. We want to coexist with all species. But we will not be victims. We will not allow our people to be murdered without response. We will defend ourselves with every weapon at our disposal. The fleet you saw was real. The weapons we used were real. That is humanity's true strength, and we kept it hidden because we hoped we would never need to use it. The Krell forced our hand. We hope no one else makes the same mistake. The council chamber was silent. Then, slowly, one species began to applaud. Then another. Then another. Soon the entire chamber was showing approval. Earth had proven itself, not just as a military power, but as a civilization that could use force responsibly. The council voted, that same day, to grant humanity a permanent seat with full voting rights. They also requested that Earth help write new interstellar laws about the use of military force. Within weeks, dozens of species asked to sign defense treaties with Earth. They wanted humanity as an ally, not an enemy. Ambassador Liu Wei led the negotiations for these new treaties. She worked with representatives from across the galaxy to create the New Terra Accords. These laws established clear rules for interstellar conflict. The most important rule was simple. Any attack on civilian populations would result in immediate military intervention by Earth and its allies. It was not a rule anyone wanted to test. 1 year after the war, Captain Daniel Cross took the Vengeance back to New Haven. The planet was still dead, still radioactive. Nothing grew there. No one lived there. It was a monument to the Krell's cruelty and humanity's loss. But in orbit, Earth had built something new. A massive memorial structure floated above the poisoned world. It was made of metal and crystal, designed to last for thousands of years. On its surface were carved 2.3 million names. Every person who died on New Haven was remembered here. Daniel attended the dedication ceremony. President Cole was there. Admiral Kane was there. Thousands of people who had lost family on New Haven attended by video link. Together, they watched as the memorial was activated. It began broadcasting a simple message into space, repeating endlessly for anyone to hear. Here rest 2.3 million souls. They were farmers and teachers, scientists and artists, parents and children. They lived in peace. They harmed no one. They were murdered without cause. They were human beings and they mattered. We remember them. We honor them. We avenge them. Let all who see this place understand. Humanity protects its own. Always. Lieutenant Sophie Grant was at the ceremony. She stood in the Vengeance's observation deck and looked at the memorial. Her sister's name was there, carved in crystal that would shine for millennia. Sophie had flown dozens of combat missions during the war. She had destroyed enemy ships. She had risked her life. And now it was done. She took her sister's picture from her pocket and looked at it one last time. Then she placed it in a special compartment built into the memorial. Thousands of other people did the same. Pictures, letters, personal items, all the things that reminded them of the people they lost. The memorial would keep these treasures safe forever. Sophie whispered to her sister. We got them. All of them. You can rest now. We made sure justice was done. Back on Earth, the fleet returned home. Most of the ships went back into service with Earth's now public military. Some were decommissioned and turned into museums so future generations could see what their ancestors built. The secret was over. Everyone knew now that humanity was not weak. Everyone knew that Earth had teeth, but not all the ships came home. A significant portion of the fleet remained deployed in former Krell space, now called the Terran Protectorate. These ships would stay there for years, ensuring stability and preventing any attempts to restart the old Dominion. More ships patrolled the borders of human space. Never again would Earth be caught unprepared. Admiral Kane retired from active service 2 years after the war. She had served Earth for 40 years and felt she had earned her rest. At her retirement ceremony, President Cole gave her the highest honor Earth could award. He also thanked her for the vision that made victory possible. Admiral Kane saw what others did not, Cole said. She understood that peace requires strength. She understood that mercy is a choice, not a weakness. She prepared us for the worst while hoping for the best. Because of her, Earth was ready when the Krell attacked. Because of her, we won. Because of her, our people got justice. Victoria smiled at the applause but gave credit to others. I just built the tools. You all used them. Every captain, every soldier, every engineer. You did the hard work. You fought with honor. You made me proud. 5 years after the war, the Terran Protectorate held its first free elections. The Krell people chose their own government without interference from Earth. They elected leaders who promised peace, cooperation, and reform. The old Dominion was truly gone. Something better was being born.